I have the power. I 3D printed this sword using my Lego 3 Pro. It's really small, like you can see right now. I'm working on our project, but I was able to 3D print it, and I want to share not only the link so you can download the file and print your own, but also the technique that I use to glue everything together and make this happen. If you have been in my channel, you know that I have printed so many things, but I'm not a big fan of gluing things together. This is the very first time, and if you want to create your own story and know how I did it, let's start. And you don't have to worry about cutting your model because this one already comes in 6 parts. The only thing you have to do is bring it to your slicer one by one or all at once. If you're not familiar with this top menu, I have done a video explaining every single tool. I'm gonna use one of these tools to tell my slicer to arrange everything. Over here, I'm just showing you that you can move things. I do this only if I have a piece that I have to add a lot of support, and those support can touch any of the other parts. But overall, the program does a really good job. If you want a really strong sword, a lot of people recommend to have like 15 to 20 infill. To be honest, even if this is my very first sword, all my pieces that I have printed, I only put more walls instead of infill. Not like you can see, it's completely empty. And I'm using usually from 4 to 6 or even 8 walls. And in my experience, that make it really, really strong. So now we'll go to the printing process, which will always amaze me. You can see that you didn't really need support on most of the part except on the back one, the bigger one with all the cylinders on the 4 corners. You only need supports at the bottom. I cannot believe I missed that. I was just in a hurry to print this, and I'm so excited that it's done. Even tried to build it right now without painting or doing anything. It's just amazing to see that it's right there. I use a zero point 0.4 nozzle and a layer have of 0.11, and you can see the layer lines barely. I think you can see it way more with the camera. So with this part, it has the effect that I can fix with the things that I'm going to show you in a moment, but I just decided to print it to show you that I have put the support on the side. There's all the things that I'm going to use, or almost all the things except for the crazy glue, and I'm going to kind of explain why. So I was just going to show you without support, you can have holes and have these kind of strings that are a pain to remove when they're on the side. So one thing that I love about this sword is that it has holes already, and this allows you to put a metal rods. To be honest, I didn't have one, but that will make it really strong. No, it will be like the armature of your sword. But I already had this wooden stick. I have different sizes. I'm gonna show you exactly the one that I use. This one I purchased at Walmart, and they're really cheap, and I think they're gonna work perfectly. And one last thing that I want to mention before I put it together is that the piece is not completely perfect. There is an unbalanced, uneven part, or here you probably don't notice. You can see on the print, even it show like different texture, and that's because one was higher than the other, and it creates a tiny gap. It's not a big deal, but just to let you know that it's there. Now I was gonna use the crazy glue, but when I opened it, it was almost empty. So it was no way that I can use it. I want to let you know, if you want to really glue wood with PLA or PLA to PLA, which this sword is made of, the best thing is just use crazy glue. And to fill all the gaps and make it smoother, I'm gonna use this wood filler. Over here, I know that the white glue, it won't really be strong enough to do much. I just wanted to use it to make sure it was really, really strong. But to be honest, I think I just wasted my time. I know what is gonna make this sword strong. It's gonna be that I'm gonna melt the plastic, and I'm gonna show you that in a moment. But now that I have my 2 pieces, I'm gonna use this foam cutter. And I got this just to cut foam. I wasn't sure if it was gonna work. I was just holding with one hand, making pressure to make sure that it wasn't moving. And by barely touching the corners, I was seeing how it melted the plastic. I wasn't making a big mess, and I was able just to seal it, which I was really, really excited that it was working. I was feeling how steady it was after I finished. So we keep going with this part is the one that I was mentioned that already has a gap. So something that I did is that I wasn't afraid to really push the tool because the gap was already there. And that's something that I recommend. Don't be afraid, just try to really press whatever tool you're using to fuse the plastic, to really fuse the plastic. That's something that I didn't do in the other parts, and I really regret. I was trying to hide the gap, but also I was trying to glue them together. That wasn't really that effective. So something that I did, I had some filament waste or leftover on the corner of my desk. So I decided just to use this to kind of fill up the gaps, but also fuse everything, make it stronger. So technically, you don't really have to use this technique. You can use just the wood filler, and I think you should be okay. Something that I will recommend is take your time to melt it and to push it down and to really try to make it flat. On this one, I saw another gap, so it was time to use the same technique, and it works really good. So I really recommend to have a piece of filament close by. This wood stick is a little bit bigger than the sword, so I'm gonna have to cut it and just keep going. So I was so happy because the sword is finally assembled, and I grab it from the handle and I heard a tiny crack. It wasn't really broken, but one of the corners of the handle was detached. So I was worried. I didn't thought about it that this part is the one that is holding all the weight, and because it's at an angle, it's not really melting that much, or and I didn't really press it that hard like the other parts. So what I decided to do is also do the same technique. Kind of, I went around and I melt the corner again, but this time I also added this filament. I didn't record it, but you're gonna see later on the video that it looks like it has a lot of white. This is not the wood filler. I put a lot of layers. I really wanted to have a stronger handle, so I did a lot of layers to make sure that it was like an L, that it will grab both parts, and I think they will work out really good. So now I have my sword. Now I feel confident that it's time to sand. You can sand just with the regular sandpaper, and it's better if you have water. But I have this electrical sander. To be honest, this is more for your feet. They're really useful, but only when you have flat surfaces. But you still have to use the sandpaper, or there are other sand shapes like sticks that you can use to go into the corners, go into the crevices, go in places that this tool cannot really go. And this is gonna take time. If you have water, it will be better. There's a lot of dust when you're sanding, so please use a mask. And after I clean a little bit, this is the part that I added a little bit more layers. But to be honest, I added more later just to make it stronger. And now we're gonna use the wood filler. To be honest, I think if you want something a little bit stronger, I think you can use Bondo. But that one's a little bit more toxic. For sure, I shouldn't be using my fingers to apply this product, but I know it's not that toxic. But please use some gloves. I'm really loving this Elmer wood filler. It's really easy to apply. If you put a little bit of water on the tip of your fingers, it will smooth really good. It was so easy to apply that I wasn't really thinking on applying on almost the whole sword, but it just happened. After you're done applying it, you have to wait at least 15 minutes. A really big mistake that I did is that I sanded only the white parts. Now I was so focused on just that because I wanted to make sure that I record everything on camera. I wasn't really paying attention on certain part on the other side of the sword. So they're not perfect smooth. But like I mentioned, my biggest mistake was that I didn't sand the part that I didn't put the wood filler. All the black I should have sanded because now you can see the lines from the printing. That was a little bit disappointed, but for being the first time that I do this, I think it did turn out pretty good. So just sand it, be careful, go everywhere. And now it's time to paint. I have to say that I'm using a really cheap silver acrylic paint. So I have to use 3 layers. Now also I'm broaching this paint. So you have like a can of spray paint. It will be just so much smoother, even shinier. There's even a special paint that you can polish, and that just it will result amazing. But I didn't have it. So just remember, if this was useful, please leave a like, subscribe, share, and remember this channel. We do 3D print and sculpting. And if you want to know more, comment below and enjoy art, enjoy 3D printing, create your own props, and see you next time. And I know, wrong t-shirt for the wrong soul. But I don't have a He-Man t-shirt, so